Hey, what's up? I'm Not Average Joe. Haven't put out a vlog for a few weeks here, so I just wanted to give you an update and give you a word from what God's been showing me in my life. Um, as you can see from behind you, I'm in the hospital again. For about 2 weeks, I was having really bad leg pain that shoots down to my knee and my ankle. Um, just really worst pain I've had in my life. I call it cry out to God pain. Um, so anyway, on Tuesday they admitted me to the hospital so they can figure out what's causing the pain and also to help manage the pain. So I've had a bunch of tests, MRI, spinal tap, bone marrow biopsy, and then another MRI tonight to try to get some answers. They don't know if it's related to the leukemia or the drugs or a totally different issue. Nobody knows. But through it all, what has been just really the lesson I've been learning is in John 15, it talks about abiding in Him or remaining in Him. Those two words are, depending on what translation you look at, it's either abide or remain. John 15 talks about the fact that he's the true vine and we're the branches, and what branch can survive and bear fruit alone? None can, only if they're abiding in the true vine, for remaining in Him. And I spoke about this in church a couple weeks ago. Some of you heard a little bit about this, but I don't know if you've ever seen the painting by Michelangelo, The Creation of Adam, where God the Father is reaching out like fervently, trying to touch Adam with all of his force and with all of his strength, and then Adam is just kind of kicking back like this, and just has his finger up like this. It almost looks lazy in a way, but we're called to abide or remain. And sometimes I feel like Adam, like I'm going through a test, or there's been a bunch of nights where I'm just rolling around in the bed crying out to God, and there's just kind of this finger, so that's all I have. And I think that God is calling us to depend on Him. And as we depend on Him, we will bear much fruit in our lives. I think so often we want to bear fruit by ourselves. We want to be in control. And I think what God has been showing me is I don't really have any control. All I can do is lift up my hands and say, God, I need you. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be all perfect. Matter of fact, this is more pain than I've ever experienced. But there's a sweetness that has been taking place when I'm in the middle of that pain, praying, calling out to God, that the pain doesn't go away, but I know He's there with me. He stands with me. And so I know my situation is not necessarily the same as yours, but pick up your cross and follow Him. What that means is whatever is going on in your life, whatever circumstances you have, that circumstance is for you to learn to depend on God. So hopefully that gives you some insight for today. I know it's given me some. So if nothing else, I'll just watch these videos myself to encourage me. Anyways, I'm Not Average Joe. You're Not Average Joe. Peace out.